Hi there, welcome to the E-commerce Nurse podcast, our 20th episode. I'm Karina McLeod, ex-Amazonian consultant and founder of E-commerce Nurse and Vendor Society. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of delegation when it comes to growing your Amazon business. We have a special guest, Gilad Freeman, the founder and CEO of VAA Philippines, the virtual assistant academy that specializes in virtual assistant services for Amazon sellers. Gilad first began living and breathing Amazon in 2015. The rapid growth and success of his business required that he outsource certain daily operations to an assistant. From the very difficult and frustrating personal search for the perfect virtual assistant was when the Virtual Assistant Academy was born. So hi Gilad, a big thank you for taking the time to come on our show today. I'm super excited to have you on board to talk about delegation, something that many new business owners can often be uncomfortable with at the start. And then after their first hire, often think, well, I should have done that a long time ago. So hello.
Hi Karina, how are you? And thank you for having me on the show.
It's great to have you. And to talk about delegation, this is definitely a topic that I need to get more into. I know it's definitely a challenge I still find, even when I have a certain size team on board. And when I talk to many sellers, they're often overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with the amount of workload that they've got. But you often find that they're either struggle to let go or they just don't actually have the time to do anything. And as a result, their business, often there are areas within their business that get left and not focused on. So what would be great if we start off and talk about what are those biggest challenges that Amazon sellers face when it comes to resource and managing their Amazon business?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is really, like you said, like the understanding that you have to let go. Because, it's something that we were not promised to work like that before, and that when I started selling on Amazon, there was all these courses that told you like how to make $10,000 in 2 months. And then you thought, oh, okay, 1 hour a day and I can do it. And suddenly there's more things to do, but you're still thinking that this is like something that can happen very fast and you can do it by yourself. And then it becomes more and more and more things to do. But you're still doing it yourself and you forget that this is actually a business. And in a business, like any other business in the world, you have to delegate, you have to let go, you have to trust other people. And the faster you learn that, then the quicker you will grow. And I can see it happens with many sellers on Amazon that I would say I see two types of people. Either they are just doing everything themselves, and until they really crack, until they see that they just spend all day long answering emails from customers and checking their listings and doing the PPC and all the tasks that that they exist on Amazon that nobody told us about it before, and they just can't do anything. They just cannot find the time to grow their business. So that's one type of people that I see. This is really like the last minute of either you do it or you just then you give up, because eventually you will say, you know what, hell, it's not worth it. This is not what I signed up for. So that's one option. The second option that I see with more, sellers that are thinking ahead, and I can see that they're more serious about it, is that already from the beginning, they understand that they would not be able to do everything themselves. And they also see things that they don't even want to do themselves. And from the beginning, they know, hell, I don't know social media, but I want to, from the very beginning, start creating my brand outside of Amazon, start collecting emails and stuff. So when my business grow, I will have enough. I could transfer people from Facebook or from my website to Amazon. So they started very early in the stage of their business, and then they for them it will be different. They will understand that they have to delegate. From the beginning, they will understand it. From the beginning, it's something that it's spent. You have to spend something before getting the money for it, which is obvious for any other business in the world. If you open a restaurant, you pay the rent, you pay for the employees before the first customer even pays for a cappuccino. But in Amazon, you think that, okay, I can do everything myself. I will not hire anybody until my business grows that big. So
And
that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really good point, because I think with all these videos out there, it's all like, oh, how you can make $1 million within 6 months, a year.
Right.
But there's none of this. The big part that's missing is the amount of resource you need to make that happen, that you alone as one person are going to struggle unless you've got some amazing product that's just going to fly off the shelves. It comes, volume is fantastic, but it comes with the customer service. It comes with, there's so many, and Amazon is complex. There's so many different components there in order to really maximize your potential. And yeah, that seems to be a bit that, as you say, it doesn't really get covered off. And I like your example of a restaurant, that actually you wouldn't open a restaurant if you don't have somebody behind the bar, or if you don't have any waitresses or waiters, So I think people think, oh, well, Amazon, it doesn't really require much resource. I can go on it alone. But actually, if you really want to grow a business and create a really true Amazon business, you've got to invest.
I call it the Superman syndrome. That you think that you're a Superman that can handle everything just because everything is in front of you in one small computer. So, it's not like a restaurant that you have to run to the kitchen, prepare the meal, then go and serve the food. Then it looks impossible to you. But as you're inside, just in front of the computer, and you know how to do most of the tasks you know how to do. So it doesn't occur to you in the beginning to delegate. You think, okay, I will do it myself, until you're getting tired from it. You think, wow, I just don't have the strength. And bear in mind that most people, when they enter Amazon, in the beginning at least, they already have other jobs. So they have a limited amount, they have families, they have a limited amount of time, and they're still trying to do everything themselves, and that's a problem.
Yeah, yes. We often say jack of all trades, master of none, because you're not able to hone. And it's this whole thing of constantly shifting gear, that you're never really able to go into anything in detail, because you're just jumping into so many different roles. And we often find that we get calls from businesses that we find out that they are the employee, they are that person, and they're very, it's like the seller business is their baby, and it's like they don't want to let go, and they're trying to figure out where they let go to start off with, because they're probably managing marketing, they're managing accounting, they're managing customer service. What do you often find from your experience when you talk to sellers that are at that stage where they know they need to let go and pass on some responsibility and delegate? What are those typical tasks that they start off and delegate?
Well, I tell you, in my business, and my point of view, I always ask myself the question, if the task that I'm actually doing at the moment, is it something that only me as the owner of the business, as the founder, as the only person that knows where I want my business to be in a year from now, in 5 years from now, who makes the decisions for the long run? Is this answering this customer email, is this critical that I will be the one to do it? If the answer is yes, then yes, I will do it, because that's essential for growing the business the way I want. But if the answer is no, if somebody else with the right training, with the right attitude, with the right character, with the highest IQ level in the world, but somebody else can do this task for me, then I would say let go. I will bring it to somebody else. I already know, for me it's much easier because I already know how to find the right people. I already know how to work with them. So yeah, for people that don't have the experience, it will be tough in the beginning, but that's still the same. It will bring them to the same results after. It will bring them the opportunity to focus only the things that they as business owners can handle. So usually Amazon sellers, they would focus on the things that they this is a wrong attitude, but they will focus on the things that they have to do in their business. So for example, they're getting emails from customers and they know that they have 24 hours to answer it. So for them, it's a must. If they will not answer this email, if they receive a negative review and they don't do anything about it to respond to the customer on the listing page. So if they will not do anything like that, then the business will collapse. So that's like the things that you must do, but it doesn't have to be you. So usually when you finally understand that you have to delegate, then you would give these essentials, these must-do things to a virtual assistant. They can take away from you this stuff. After that, the second level would be already to start to think, okay, what am I missing? What am I not doing? Not because it's not because I have to, because I don't have to do certain things. I don't have to understand Facebook marketing and how to build a funnel and all that. This is like the next step. But I could understand that if I already have somebody else helping me with that, or even taking away from me the other stuff. So that's the second level. The second level will be to give away tasks that are not essential to your business, but they are essential for growing the business. That's the second step, I would say. And it's addictive. The more you delegate, first of all, it becomes easier and easier. You already know how to work. You already know how to what to expect. You already know the curve of learning of the VAs, and you already see that almost everything you can delegate and really free your time to focus to growing your business.
Yeah, and that's sort of like when I mentioned at the start, often a few people that I speak with, once they've delegated, they're like, oh, wow, why didn't I do that earlier? And then often you start finding them that they get like addicted, and then the next minute they're delegating everything because they're just like, I should have done this a long time ago. But you mentioned a really interesting point there, as in almost the two phases. There's these tasks that you need to get off your plate because you're just managing too many things. But then almost this point of, the level 2, where it's more the nice to haves, or there might be some areas that you've not been able to get involved in. Or I guess there's even areas that maybe you don't have that skill set or have the time to get involved in, where you can have other people that can then start doing that and bring in new skill sets.
Yeah, I give you an example. I mean, there is this new thing on Amazon. It's fairly new. It's called Amazon Post, right? So for brands in the US on Amazon.com. And if you're a registered brand, then you can start posting on Amazon. It looks like a Facebook post, but it's actually on Amazon, and your competitors, it will be posted on your competitors' listings actually. And if you're doing only the essentials, the things that you have to do, then you will focus on your business. You will not be there. But when you have a VA that let's call her a social media VA, that her job will be to post on Facebook, Instagram, and obviously that. And then you have already somebody that's doing that for you and starting to roll and to be, you suddenly find yourself doing the first steps of and advancing compared to a lot of other people. And that's just because you decided that you want somebody else to do things that you would not do yourself because they're not essential to your business. Your business would not collapse if you would not be on Amazon Post, but you will see a huge advancement if you are there.
Yeah, definitely. And that sort of falls into a question that we're often asked, or that seems to come into the conversation, is more about the financial aspect of, oh, well, my business isn't there yet, but when it is, I'll be able to hire X. And there's this kind of vicious cycle there, because the point is, will you get to that financial position by doing everything yourself? Or would you get there quicker by hiring someone? But then, of course, there's this element of investment and period where maybe you're not getting the margins you need because you're investing it all in staff.
Right. So I would say that you have to consider from the very beginning the cost of a virtual assistant as any other element of your business. It doesn't mean that you have to take a VA straight from the very beginning, but you have to consider it as a cost, in my point of view, because this is what will bring you advancing much faster. And yeah, I mean, I talk to people when they say to me, look, I don't know anything about Amazon. I want a VA that will do everything for me and then find the product for me and find their supplier and just do everything for me, and I want to sell on Amazon. And the answer that I give them is that, hey dude, this is not for you. You're not there yet. You're not ready to hire a virtual assistant because you are taking an employee to your business. you need to know how to manage this person. Yeah, we can help you with giving you tips of how to manage, how to prepare for working with a VA, which tools are available. But if you do not know how to analyze the reports that the VA will tell you about finding the right product and which questions do you want to ask the different suppliers, then how can you manage? How can you work with a VA? So yeah, I think that every seller on Amazon has to know at least as good as the VA. And they need to understand what the VA is doing. They need to give her a task. They need to say, okay, this is not good what you're doing. Repeat it and show it to me tomorrow again when it's better. They need to understand that. But once they're reaching to that point, and it doesn't take a lot of time to understand what you want. It takes a lot of time to do it. So you don't have to do 40 shipment plans in order to know how to do a shipment plan. Okay? You don't have to do it your entire life. You don't have to find 500 products. You need to know what you want, and then somebody else can sit every day, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, do everything for you. But in the end of the day, you'll be able to work together with her and saying, okay, these products are great, these products are bad. Focus on them. Find me a supplier that will answer A, B, C, and D, and then the day after she will give you the report again, and you're advancing as a team. If the advancement is coming only from the VA and you're just, out there, don't really know what you want to do, then it will not work out. So I think there are two things here. You need to know what you want in your business. You need to have the level of an Amazon seller. You have to be an Amazon seller, and it comes with everything. And you need to know that there is a cost to it. You cannot just wait until you get to 100K a month in order to take a VA, because probably if you already have family and kids and another job, most likely you will not get there without the help of VA. But you need to know what you want and how to work with it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. We've had it where we've spoken with businesses and they go, oh, we've hired such and such and we've done this, but it's just not working out. And so we start asking some questions to understand, well, what's not working out? And often that we end up finding is that they can't actually explain what's not working out, because the real issue is not who they've hired. It's the fact that they haven't really understood the business. So they've probably hired someone who they haven't then challenged, or that person's just doing what they think they should be doing, but maybe not doing it as it needs to be. So everybody's sort of working, but because the owner just doesn't, they go, well, I just don't get Amazon, so I hired someone to figure it out.
Right.
Which to some extent is okay, but you've got to have some, as you say, some level of understanding. But I guess that comes into a question, and another question that I wanted to ask is this whole thing of hiring an internal VA to execute and manage a lot of your tasks, or versus, outsourcing completely, let's say, to an Amazon expert or an Amazon agency. When should a business sort of how should a business look at all of these different avenues?
I would say that if your intentions are only to be an investor on Amazon, you have your money, you want to put it on Amazon, but you don't really need and you don't really want to spend all the time and effort into becoming an expert yourself, then you should not even go into selling on Amazon. You should give it to an expert or to a managing company, because they will do it much better than you, and that's your only way to succeed. If you want to be your own boss, you want to take the decisions, you really want to see yourself as an Amazon seller, and this is what you want to do in life, and you want to switch the disc and really make it your profession in the future, then you will have to know it all. You'll have to go into the details. You'll have to spend time, learning yourself a lot of stuff on Amazon. You have to spend time working with your VA, and after that, it's your VAs, because you will have several, or you'll have a team. So it's really like managing a team, managing a business. And if you're into that, then that's where you should be. You should be working with virtual assistants.
And I guess a lot of this from this conversation and what I'm getting is a lot comes down to the first steps a business should take when they are starting to sell on Amazon is what is your main goal? What's your long-term goal? What's your strategy? Because so many businesses, as we talked about these videos of, oh, my goal is to be $1 million seller. But there's nothing behind that, as in there's no strategy behind that, or really understanding what is that goal, because are you talking about revenue? Are you talking about profitability anyway when you're talking about $1 million? And you do see a lot of businesses just jump in and all of that is missing completely.
Yeah. So we try to help Amazon sellers when they come to us, and once we pass this step of, is it really does it fit you to have a VA? So once we pass that point, our job, this is what we're doing, is to escort the seller into really understanding how to work with virtual assistant, how to prepare even for the first meeting with the VA, and how to create a schedule, and how to understand that this VA will make mistakes, and how to overcome them, and how to optimize and maximize the work with the VA, because it's not easy, and it can take a lot of time and effort if you don't know how to do it right. So we try to do our best with because we have a lot of experience in that, where we have dozens, over 100 Amazon sellers that working with our VAs. So we have a lot of experience into helping sellers to know how to work better with VAs. Because a lot of times you just don't know. You think you don't even know where to find VAs. You don't even know what it takes. I didn't know when I started. When I took my first VA for my Amazon business in 2015, that I thought that I knew how to find a good VA, and it was completely wrong. I interviewed so many candidates, and then I found the right person, and I trained her from scratch about Amazon. And then a month after she left, she just stopped. She didn't even say to me like, "I'm sorry, this is not for me." She just stopped responding to my emails. And I heard from other sellers that it happens all the time. And this is where it started, actually. Well, it was actually later than 2015, but it was when we started creating VAA Academy Philippines, because we understood that there must be a better way to find and work with virtual assistants, and it comes with a lot of experience.
Yeah, definitely, because that's often then the question. The next question I have is more about, so how do you monitor and ensure that you are getting that right output? Because of course, I mean, more and more businesses now are getting used to the word remote and virtual working these days.
Now everybody at work virtual assistant suddenly.
Yeah, definitely. So that's changing things. But I mean, that has also been a nervousness, as in some businesses they've still got that mentality of, oh, I only know that person's doing a good job because I can peer over their shoulder and watch them. So how does a business really manage output when they're dealing with someone could be that they're a seller in the US and then they're dealing with a virtual assistant out in the Philippines?
So there are two type of people, I would say, two answers here. One answer would be that you want to become the big brother, and you want to look over the shoulder of your VA and know exactly what she's been doing the entire shift. And if you want to be that, then you have all the tools that are available in the world to help you. I mean, you can know the size of this technology. It's amazing. You can know when she logs in, when she logs out, obviously. You will know which, you can have screenshots, random screenshots of her screen. You can know which website she visited during her shift. You can know if she's working from home or from a coffee place, because the GPS will show you that. You can know if her mouse or keyboard, I mean, what's the percentage of the time that she moved her mouse during an hour, and a given hour, for example. And if, let's say that, I mean, you're not expecting somebody to type in the keyword like 100% of the time, but let's say that the average for your type of work would be 40% of the time something must be happening on the keyboard. Then if it goes below 30%, for example, you will receive a notification on your phone. Your virtual assistant, something's going on. Your virtual assistant is watching a movie, you know. So you can go to that level. But what will it tell your VA? It will tell your VA that you're not trusting anything she's doing. You will not have her do any initiative or any creative thought, because she'd know that, okay, I have to do exactly what he tells me to do, and why should I give it them? Because he's checking he's not really trusting me, so why should I trust him? And so that's one option. The second option, which is the way that I, if you didn't understand that from the first, the second option, which I prefer, So I don't like to be the big brother. I have other more important things to do. Like we talked before, if I don't have to do it, then I don't do it. So I don't think that I have to be the big brother. And it all starts with finding the right VA. So once you know that you have a good VA that you can trust on you, that you spent enough time into filtering the right person, then you can work with her on with SOPs, with checklists, with reports. She will report to you in the end of the day what she's been doing, and she will know that every time she gets stuck, she will ask the right question, and she will report to you. And the day after, you will sit with her and talk about what she's been doing and where did things go wrong. And then you will give her targets for today, targets for this week, targets until the end of the month, and you see if she's managing them. And this takes time and also creativity and effort. But when you know how to do this, then and after that, you will have already teams that know how to do it, and it's already a part of your working system. But when you're doing that, then who needs to monitor their what she's doing? I don't care when she's going to do it, and if she's going to stop 10 times watching a movie or not. But in the end of the day, I will know what she's done, and if it was good enough, and I will create targets, and she will have to, every time the targets will be higher and higher, so she will become more and more, she'll become an expert. And that's the way that I think you should work with VAs.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm completely supportive of that approach as well, as in, managing a virtual team and a remote team, it's all about trust. And but also you've got to motivate the team as well, because the team are working in completely different areas. They're not getting that hype and that energy from sitting amongst themselves. And if you're peering over their shoulders as well, and then you expect them to be passionate and really to enjoy what they're doing, then it's going to be really difficult. Whereas, as you say, it's all about results. It's not necessarily about time. Somebody could do something for 2-3 hours and not give you the results that somebody does in a shorter amount of time. And definitely think that that's definitely the right approach. And do you often find when you're talking with sellers, do you give them tips often on the way to what management style to use?
Well, first of all, we implemented with our own community. I mean, we are not just hiring VAs to work remotely from their homes and that's it. We are really like an academy. And the way we believe that should be done is that everybody knows everybody. We have the Zoom meetings with 70 VAs all together, and we have team leaders, and we have staff members that they meet each other in the Philippines. I go back and forth to the Philippines. We celebrate their birthdays. We give like a different task every month. There is like the game of the month with competitions and stuff, and we send them cakes, and they really feel like they're a part of something, and not just sitting at home and waiting for their employer to say, I don't really need you today, so don't work. It doesn't work like that. I mean, we really want them to feel that this is the place, this is where they want to be in like 10 years from now. And once you know that, once you have a VA that is happy from where they are, then they will not disappear. They will give their 110% to your business. And then you can already know that you found the right people, and they will work better with the Amazon sales that you will connect them with. And in the same time, when we're connecting, I said it a little bit before that, but when we're connecting an Amazon seller with a VA, we're also connecting him to a manager, a staff manager, to work together with him, to teach him how to work with the VAs, how to create targets, how to be patient. And this is really like a key to working with VAs for the long run, instead of just saying, okay, she's been with me for already 10 days and she didn't really yet find, she didn't do, it takes her another more than an hour to do a certain task, and this is not what I pay for. You have to think bigger than that.
Yeah, so it's almost like, although they're not, they're freelancers, treating them as part of the team. I like that about how you mentioned about birthdays and stuff, because just because somebody's working as a virtual assistant, I think sometimes there's assumption that person's just like almost like a robot in the sense of what how they're delivering, whereas actually we're all in this together. We all like that interaction, that human interaction, right. Even if we're at completely different sides of the world, we need that, and that helps positive output as well.
But I think that was the problem in the beginning, and we really thought that when working with people remotely, then they're like robots, and then we give them tasks, and that's it. We even call it virtual assistants. I mean, why do we call them virtual assistants? I mean, I call them Amazon experts. I call them PPC specialists, because this is what we train them to be. But I recognize that the term exists, virtual assistant, but they're not virtual to us. I mean, they're really like a part of our VAA family.
Yeah, completely. It's more like a remote assistant, but virtual. Well, as you say, with Zoom calls and the way things are these days, is that everybody's quite used to that virtual world as well, where you do feel connected as well, just through video conferencing and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, appreciate your time today, and it's been awesome to talk to you about delegation. And for those sellers that are listening, hopefully it's been extremely useful in helping you think about how you should start delegating if you haven't done already, or if you're already doing that, how you can make improvements and manage all of that. But I always sort of ask one last question at the end. If somebody was just starting out as a seller and looking to delegate their very first delegation or hire, what would your tip to them be?
First of all, patience. Things don't happen in a night, and it's an employee that you're taking to your business, like any other employee in the world will sit together with you in your office. It takes time. You build it slowly, and also when hiring, like when filtering the right person, don't look into CVs. Don't look at what they say about themselves. We all been there. Everybody that worked for somebody before knows how you can play with these CVs. Somehow, when you're working with virtual assistants, this is all you care about. What they write about. Oh, they've been 7 years working on FBA. Wow. Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, you and I both been there 7 years ago. We know that the Amazon FBA is not. It doesn't really matter things change all the time. So, it's more important to have somebody that you can trust, somebody that's going to be with you for the long run, somebody who's motivated enough, somebody who can learn new stuff and can really treat your business as their own business. And it's a completely different way of filtering them also. You're not in your conversation with them. Don't just ask them what they did before. Really see who they are. Understand if they're going to be good enough for your business, if you are good enough for them, and try to make it not just over one conversation. I mean, our filtering process takes over 2 months, with a lot of interviews and a lot of discussions, and we're really looking for their character and not just their so-called experience. Because, I mean, in the Western world, the experience is huge, but when you don't know somebody, and they're in the Philippines, don't put so much weight into what they say about their experience. Really looking above this.
It's really interesting, and even I always see that when we're hiring, and even hiring in the UK. Yes, there's an element of looking at the CV, but everybody can paint this picture on your resume to look how you want it to be. And sometimes you get really excited about a resume or a CV, and you speak with them and you're like, there's a disconnect, right? but actually having someone who has that get up and go, that enthusiasm, that passion, that loyalty. Sometimes maybe you need to invest a bit more in training, but sometimes you can get a much stronger output than.
And you will see that they will close the gap very fast.
Completely.
I mean, if you know how to find the right person, and you see that they have a very fast learning ability, then they could become experts really in no time. I mean, you can really teach them, and they will be enthusiastic to learn more, and they will always ask you. I mean, we have every month we're creating for our VAs and for the sellers, we're creating the training of the month, because we're an academy. So every time things are changing, every time there are updates on Amazon, every time we think of new ways that we can teach the VAs to become better, and we promote to all our sellers. This next month training is going to be about, I don't know, Helium 10, Excel, doesn't matter. So we promote it, and we ask them, do you want your VA to participate in this training? And if they say yes, then we give this training to the VA. But on the same time, we ask our VAs, do you want to learn it? Also, you wanna take this training without your employer saying anything about it, so you don't have to. And they know that they will have to do it on their own time, and they will not get paid for it because it was not asked by anybody. But we see so many of our community always raising their hands and saying, yeah, I want to do it. I want to learn more. I want to become better. And this is really what, when you see somebody so, eager to learn more and become better in what they do, and really see as their profession as something for the long run, then you say, wow, they're here for a reason. We chose them for a reason. They're here with us, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's really good to see people developing in their career as well, which is fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. You've been an awesome guest. I guess if for those that are listening that might be then thinking, oh, okay, I should be hiring a VA, I should have done this a long time ago, or those that may have VAs or looking to hire more, where should they go?
Well, they could contact us at www.vaaphilippines.com, and over there is an explanation about our community, our different types of VAs. We are looking at their characters. So we have an Amazon VA and PPC VA, which are completely two different types of people. Social media VA is another type of people. So we schedule a talk with them, and the first goal will be to understand what do you need, how we can help you, which type of VAs you need, how many hours you need the VA to be helping you with, and then we'll work out together with them until they're happy with working with their VA.
Okay, fantastic. And we'll also add the URL in the description for the podcast as well. So if you do want to, if you are interested in hiring a VA, just click on the link and then contact VAA Philippines. So thank you ever so much.
Great. It was great being in this podcast, and take care.
Thank you.